the Box, Episodes of Horror with Donna and Eric. I'm Donna.
And I'm Eric.
And with us today that we have author Z Martin, Zach Martin, who will be at Texas AuthorCon and Book Festival. Thanks for joining the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
That's
And
great that you could come on.
move over a little bit so everybody can see that cool logo.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like that. Yeah, Shay Kuhn, she's really good. I saw she did a lot of stuff for people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's great. So we have just some icebreaker questions to get started. So tell us, Freddie, Jason, or Michael?
If I had to go with one, I'd go with Freddie.
Okay. Any
reason?
Yeah.
You get Jason and you get Michael, and you can't kill him. Yeah, you can stab Michael 100,000 times and he always comes back in the next one. But Freddie, more visceral, more deep whenever he's in a movie. I mean, he's hopping around in dreams and just messing everyone up throughout the entirety of the movie. Plus what he did to Johnny Depp in the first one, straight through the
That
bed.
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Everybody who had a waterbed at that time was like, "Oh no." That's awesome. Werewolves or vampires?
I'll go with werewolves actually. Vampires have just been too in the spotlight for way too long. Even in Underworld, they show the vampires more than they did the Lycans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
we
was
don't really get much of their backstory until the third movie when they go to the back in time or whatever.
Yeah.
To introduce the love story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good. Werewolves is the right answer. Now, do you like a bipedal werewolf like in Underworld, or do you like American Werewolf in London, a more wolf-looking?
I honestly feel like the quadruped would be the most suitable choice. Bipedal is just kind of, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like that's how they should react.
How they should transform? Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense. But they're damn cool though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, I prefer bipedal, just because I'm a big Dog Soldiers fan. Um, and of course, The Howling, the first
Mhm.
one. Um, there's just some really good movies from back in the day.
Yeah, I know. I'm just happy if there's a werewolf in it. I don't really care as much.
Yeah,
Yeah. Either way is
yeah.
fun.
Um, what was your favorite scary movie as a kid, and is it still the same today?
Hmm. That's a good question. Um, Now I gotta think on that. I really loved The Evil Dead, the
Oh yeah. Yeah.
original Evil Dead. Um,
Hmm.
Watched it way too young, and that's fine. That shaped me into how I am today. And I honestly do still enjoy it. I actually showed my wife the other day. She's never watched any of the Evil Dead, and I showed her the original one, and she wasn't as much of a fan of it as I was, but she got to enjoy it with me for a while.
Yeah,
Are you gonna
yeah,
show her too?
Yeah, I'm gonna show her two, and then I'll show her the newer ones.
I think she'll probably. Well,
this
I mean, I don't know what her violence level is, but two's I think a little more. It's more tongue in cheek, a little funnier.
Yeah.
You
this
know.
is my boomstick.
Yeah. And we'll
I
get
love it.
to. I think yeah, because I think two's almost perfect with the way they did everything with that. All the choices they made were perfect. And really two is just a remake of the first one. He just had a bigger budget. So
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta love Bruce Campbell.
Oh yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Now I like the remake. Um, I think the remake was. I went to the theater to see it when it
Hmm.
first came out, and of course I was too young to see the original in the theater when it came out. But I had, obviously seen it. Um, but that was the only movie that recently kind of freaked me out in the theater. You
Yeah, no, I
know,
think I think the remix is really good. I think they hit all the high notes correctly. They don't try and give us a Bruce Campbell character.
right?
They really just focus on the book and the cabin, and I think they do a really good job. Yeah, it's unsettling. I can't think
Yeah,
of a movie I've seen. The last movie I would say is probably The Strangers. The Strangers and the remake of Evil Dead are the last two movies I was unsettled in the theater watching.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was at a cinema pub, so it was like you were sitting at tables instead of in like rows of seats,
Mhm.
and so there were like strangers sitting at the table with us because it's like long tables, so you're sharing tables and stuff, and that was kind of unnerving to have like strangers sitting next to you while you're watching this movie, and you're like, oh God, what's going on? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, but they're really good. Do you have a favorite horror novel?
It's not really classified as horror, it's more thriller, I guess. But Michael Crichton's Prey, that has been a lifelong favorite of mine.
All right, I've not
Cool.
heard of that.
It's pretty good. It's deals with technology and
That's the nanobot one, right?
yeah,
Is it?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that could be that's definitely could be considered horror, I think. That's the cool thing about Crichton is that almost all his books have that little bit of edge to them that in the right frame of mind you could classify almost everything he did as horrific, you know. But he touches on everything, you know. You get a pirate adventure story, um you get Beowulf retold, you get the medical stuff that he did, and you know when he started off with, and the Jurassic Park, of course, and then you've got Sphere, which I think is an amazing book, and Congo. But all of them have elements of things that could terrify you as you're going through if you were in that situation. So, yeah, and
Yeah.
there's nothing scarier than technology,
Yeah.
nanobot stuff, and
Hmm.
yeah, in this day and age for sure. But I mean, he wrote it. What was that? 15 years ago? 20 years ago? Maybe?
Yeah, that was quite a while back.
Yeah, I mean, he's way. That's the other thing is great about Crichton is he's always way ahead of everybody when he's writing something, and then by the time it becomes something, he's already done it. You know, he's out into something new. So
Yeah, it's funny because when I joined the Books of Horror Facebook group, I started seeing a lot of people talking about Jurassic Park,
yeah,
reading the book and saying it was great. And I'm like, and I love Jurassic Park. I had seen it tons of times, and I never would have thought that it would be considered horror. But of course, my view has honestly changed since I've been in the Books of Horror group, and I've gotten exposed to a lot more different types of horror. But yeah, it just surprised me when I was first in there. I'm like, really? You're like gushing about Jurassic Park in a horror book group, and people are all like, yeah, man, it's great,
hmm
So, and it's very horrific because I totally would die from trying to pet a dinosaur. So
be a
I would,
short book.
yep, it would be a totally short book.
Yeah.
So if someone were to come to you and say, hey, I want to get into reading horror, what book would you suggest they start with?
Ooh. It depends on which level of horror you're going for. Um, if they're just starting out, just beginning, I would honestly say I'm gonna go with any of the Patrick McNulty's books. He has the Monster and Mayhem books.
hmm
Any of those books would be a great start for someone just getting into horror.
Okay, I've not heard of those, so I'll have to look them up. Patrick McNulty, you said?
Yep. He's a Canadian author up there around Duncan, and it's God of the Dead, Avernus Island, and I cannot remember the other one. But it's all just calm, quiet horror for the first little bit, and then everything just goes haywire.
Oh, those are the best. When
Yeah.
you're lulled into a false sense of security, you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. Whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Those are the best.
Now, for people who don't know you, tell us what genre do you write in?
So I write in two genres. I write in horror and I write in fantasy as well.
Oh, okay.
Do
All
you ever
right.
blur the lines, or is it you got one hat for horror and one hat for fantasy?
One of my books does kind of fall. Jason Dickey actually brought it up to me that it does kind of fall in that dark fantasy.
hmm
It could go either way, but it was geared more towards the horror genre. My fantasy is pretty dark, but I don't ever go too dark with it.
Okay. Now, is it the high fantasy type thing, or is it a different type of
It's
fantasy?
um it's epic fantasy. So
Okay.
it's close to the high fantasy, but not quite there.
Okay. Um, yeah, because I grabbed these two covers. from your books. These are both horror. This
Yep.
The Price of Insanity is a collection,
Yep.
and
That
it's
one's
got a new.
actually, yeah, well, eh,
Yeah,
I think that,
I saw on Goodreads that there were two versions of Price of Insanity with it, so it's got a new cover now.
yep. I went through and I completely redid my first two collections, got them new covers, new editing, new formatting, all that stuff.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, this is so I had seen The Price of Insanity somewhere on Facebook, probably in Books of Horror, and the cover I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
That is a weird ass cover. So of course I grabbed it and I read it and I really enjoyed it, because that cover is very terrifying. It's just like you don't know really what's going on, and it could be a monster, but it cannot be a monster. And then the gateway. Um, I love that cover, and I
Mhm.
gotta say, I just finished it, um, and it was an amazing story. I absolutely love the gateway. I started
I was,
reading it, and I was 66 pages in before I knew it. And I was like, well, I got to go to bed, so I got to stop and, and
yeah, I was gonna
read it.
say the cover seems familiar. Like I've seen it recently. I wonder if I maybe you posted something and that's where I
Yeah,
saw
I've
it.
posted it in all the groups, so I'm sure you've seen it. And it's, well, you're not on Instagram, but I put it on my Instagram too.
No, it's an awesome cover.
Yeah, it really is. So, the
Is
gateway.
it? I was just gonna ask, is it Nordic in any way, or I mean, are you shooting for something, or is it just?
No, that was actually a part of the cover is um a nod at something that's in the book. It's a tattoo that's
Yeah,
in the book.
this the Ouroboros, or
Yeah.
I can never say that, the snakes.
Yeah, and Shay actually made that cover as well, which she did a
Oh,
fantastic job on.
Yeah, it's really
okay.
nice.
Yeah. Now the gateway was released not too this is your most current release, right?
Yes, that is my latest one.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, they were both really great. I highly recommend them to anybody watching. You'll definitely want to pick them up. Um, so I was hoping I got a chance to read The Gateway at least before Texas AuthorCon. And I actually ended up just grabbing it, and I said, well, I'll just start it. And I ended up, just blowing right through it. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are some great covers. Um, so yeah, they're both horror. I didn't really realize that you wrote it's fantasy as well. Otherwise, I would have grabbed at least one fantasy cover. Um,
That's all right.
so I'll have to
Oh,
take
so
a
the
look.
Gateway is not fantasy?
No,
No.
Okay. I was
no,
thinking it was kind of fantasy. That's why I asked the Nordic question because it makes me think of Thor and all
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
See
But
if
yeah,
I
I thought
can
that maybe it was one of your darker fantasy ones.
yeah. The
kind of
journey,
halfway get it in there.
yeah, the
Oh
Journey
yeah.
of Ike. Okay, that's one of your fantasy books.
Yeah, that's my only fantasy book
Okay.
at the moment. It'll be first in a series of about 5 books.
Oh, geez. Yeah, there we are with the series. Yeah, the Gateway, Eric, it's about a demon and a guy trying to get away from the demon. I don't want to give too many details, but yeah, it's really good. There's obviously more to it than that, but yeah, I was I wasn't surprised on the way that the story went. Um, I didn't read the blurb. I never read synopsis usually, so I had no idea what it was about. So I just opened it, and started reading it. um,
Just dive
yeah,
right in.
just dive right in. Yep.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it hasn't led me wrong. I'd say 99% of the time, I judging a book by the cover, like, doesn't go wrong for me. Stop sharing those there. So tell us about your writing environment. When you're writing, do you listen to music? Do you have to have it quiet? What kind of music do you listen to if you do?
It depends on what I'm writing. If I'm writing horror, then I don't listen to anything. I just focus solely on the words.
Mhm.
If I'm writing my fantasy, on the other hand, I am listening to music. Um, Certain parts of it are very Nordic themed. So I'll listen to a lot of Viking songs or just kind of the chants and other impactful songs like that.
Okay, cool.
Get you in the mood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So since you're a fantasy writer as well, do you have a favorite fantasy novel?
I am a big fan of the Dresden Files.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that. I've heard the name, but I don't think I
You'd
know what
like
it's
it.
about. Would I?
It's like a wizard thing. He's like a wizard cop detective thing, right? Is that
Oh,
the
okay.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Butcher, the
Yeah.
Dresden Files. He's got so many of them out now.
Yeah, there's got to be 15 to 20 maybe or more maybe.
I think it's around 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I think I have 7 of them. I've read the first 2 or 3, and yeah, they're very entertaining. It's a really good series because it pulls all the cool stuff with fantasy and but puts it in a more modern environment, and so you kind of get that best of both worlds. Before everybody was doing it, because he's one of the earlier ones that seemed to really lean into that um urban fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
At least
Now,
and do it well. He does it well. So
Yeah.
yeah. Now, is that series something you would recommend to somebody who wants to get into reading fantasy?
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, unless they tell you that they want to they want to, they want like Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy. If they're looking for, elves and tights and bows and arrows and dragons and stuff,
Tights.
you might lead them a different direction, but I think eventually you probably hit on all those notes in the Dresden stuff because that's the cool thing about that. He does incorporate a lot of traditional themes within his stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would say that. Or if you're looking for like Wheel of Time,
Yeah.
that's a little different. You might lean somebody that way, but I think he's right. Dresden File would be a perfect thing for most people trying to get into it.
Yeah, that won't. Because I find with like, I haven't read a lot of like high fantasy, probably very, very little. Um, and it's just the whole like different languages.
Hmm.
Not that it's written in a different language, but you're like the names of the characters, and you're like, how do I even pronounce this? And um,
Yeah, Dresden File would be really good for that. Just to give you an idea, maybe get you more comfortable with the idea of some of these things.
yeah, okay, that's cool. So tell us, do you think that you would ever write a high fantasy type book?
I don't think I'd ever go that much into it. I am not a planner when it comes to writing out my stuff, and high fantasy takes a lot of plotting, from what I
Yeah.
understand, and that's just not for me.
Now, I had read in the beginning of the Gateway. I didn't read all of the introduction, but a phrase caught my eyes where you were talking basically triggers, and you had mentioned some things that I'm not going to say because I don't want to ruin it for people who may read it. Um, so do you think you'd ever go to the more extreme horror, writing a more extreme horror? Because The Price of Insanity and The Gateway, definitely are not extreme in my eyes, anyways.
I might have something coming very soon. There's
Oh,
a submission next month, and I've got it out there. People have read it. I'm just waiting for the submission to open up now. So
that's very
Cool.
intriguing.
Yeah, no,
All
I'm
right.
I'm rolling through my head trying to think who's opening up in a week or next month or whatever.
Well, that's exciting. Good luck.
oh
Hopefully,
yeah.
hopefully it gets picked up. That would be great. If
Well,
not,
if
put it
not,
out anyways.
yeah, if not, it'll be thrown into somewhere.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about that. You start having ready-made stories that you can use however you want to at some point.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of events like Texas AuthorCon and Book Festival? Have you done a lot or done any in the past? Or
No, the this year will actually be my first ever conventions. I'll be at Texas Author Con, and then I'll be at the TBR Con up in
ooh,
Knoxville.
I'll
No,
be there
cool.
too. I'll be at both of those.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I didn't actually publish anything until 2021 or 2022. 2021, I believe. And I wasn't even in the book community at that point. I published a book before I knew what I was doing. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
And Eric, that's similar for you, right?
Yep. I put it
Yeah.
out, and then I think I found books of horror a month or two after I released my first book, and then I realized that there was actually places that you're supposed to go and talk about things you're doing and all that nonsense. So
yeah.
I just put it out there and was like, oh, I don't know what to do next. So I just started writing public. So, but yeah,
And
no,
what
it would have
what
been
was your
nice
first
to
one? What was your
Shadow
first
Within.
one? Shadow Within.
That one took forever, and the public I wrote in a few months and got it out. So
Yeah. And everybody does that. For the most part, everybody I've interacted with has done that. I did it. I kind of just threw my, books out there. I didn't really plan too much. Eric has done it, and then it's like, okay. I know Daniel Volpe, when he first released Billy Silver, he just had this crappy cover. According to him, I like the cover. So, and then he revamped it and got a new cover on it. So, even those that are really popular started out and, made these little tiny, you know,
and
in
that's the
their,
cool thing about indie horror is that a lot of us have that same setup story, and we all kind of help each other figure out, oh, we can do these other things and guide us through the whole process and make it a little easier for the next time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure, don't feel bad because I did it too,
Yeah.
It's it's not anything that just you have done, Plenty of people have made those mistakes. Um,
And I don't even know if it's a mistake because I mean, I
yeah,
think the biggest step you can do is put it out there. So if you have the courage to go and put it out there, however you do it, I mean, you've taken the first major step. So I think that's pretty commendable.
yeah, absolutely. Anybody who puts their words out into the public eye, you know, hats off to you because
Yeah.
it takes guts to do that, no matter what. So this will be your first con, yeah, because TBR is after
Mhm.
Texas Author Con. Um,
Yep.
so what are you looking forward to besides selling books? What are you looking forward to most about Texas Author Con?
Buying more books.
There you go. And it's gonna be
Yeah,
interesting because we've got more authors this year. We
Yeah.
also have an expansion on some of the other genres, so that's kind of interesting. But there's also going to be a ton of horror writers and stuff, so it'll be fun to see all the new things people had that were there last year, and then some of the new writers what they're bringing this year. So I think you're right. Yeah, I think that is probably the best thing. Just walk around and look at everybody's stuff.
yeah, yeah. Last year was my first year having a table as an author at Texas Author Con, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, being behind a table all day, I'm not going to have time to go around and buy books. And I still brought home a backpack full of books. And Eric even shipped some to me with
That's
my
true.
extra stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, it didn't help. Sitting behind the table didn't
Are
help
you
at
in the
all.
DFW area?
No, I am actually in Arkansas. I'm
Okay.
about 45 minutes away from the Texas border.
All right. So you're kind of in the middle of both of those events.
Yeah. And nothing happens in Arkansas, so we have to go elsewhere to find people.
I know
Hey,
it's crazy. I don't think a lot happens in Texas either for some reason. I mean, we have some events, but it doesn't feel like our area's got enough events. It doesn't feel like you see all the things they post on the East Coast. Feels like every weekend they've got an event going on. So it'd be nice if we could get some Texas, Arkansas stuff going.
it's because it's too hot out there, Eric.
You got to have something to do inside. You just go to an event. Yeah, I wouldn't do it outside.
Yeah, when I was talking, I was talking with RJ Joseph. I was talking about last year's event and how it was so hot and I couldn't handle it because I'm in Massachusetts. And she's like, "Is this outside?" I'm like, "Oh no, 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 no! It's in a hotel. Don't worry."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I
Yeah, but
would not. I would not go if it was outside."
yeah, the few feet from the parking garage to the hotel, there was murder. So
Yeah,
it was a nice
yeah.
hot weekend for that event. So
Oh yeah, that's brutal. But I'm looking forward to it. And I gotta say, things do happen in Arkansas. In Fort Smith, they have Christmas dinosaurs. So
That is true.
you need to go to Fort Smith and see the Christmas dinosaurs.
Yeah, I actually used to live up probably about 25 minutes away from Fort Smith for a while.
Oh,
Okay.
that's cool.
Yeah, I was out there working. It was around Christmas time, and me and my coworkers are driving around, and we're like, "Why are there dinosaurs in the park, all lit up for Christmas?" So see, there's stuff going on in Arkansas. Not the book kind of
I'm gonna
stuff.
say that's something. I don't know how to react, but I'll make a note. We'll try and drive through there. So
Yeah, drive through Arkansas on Christmas. Go through Fort Smith. So Zach, do you have? I know you said you have something that you're getting ready to submit. But do you have any other projects in the works?
Yes, I do. I have a short story collection that I just finished the last story on today. Once I do some edits and some formatting, it's going to go off to betas and then it'll be ready to go.
sweet.
Nice.
That's
Very
exciting.
nice.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
cool to finish something,
Yeah, it's
get
always
to the
good.
next level of what you have to do with it. But
Yeah.
Yep. And then you think, oh, I have a break, and then you're like, no, I don't.
No,
yeah.
no, because as soon as I get this one out there, I've got to start on the next Journey of Ike. So
Now you
Yep.
said you don't plot and you're more of a pantser, but you already said that's going to be probably 5 books. So do you have like just a general idea of what you want each book to be about, or are you really going book to book to book?
now I've got kind of a generalized idea of what each book is going to lead to, but
Mhm.
that's about it.
Yeah, then I think that's kind of fun too. You got an A and a Z, and you're gonna fill the rest in, and you're gonna get there however you get there. But that's always sometimes that's fun to do as a writer, because you don't want to get bogged down in all the detail, especially when it doesn't want to go the way you thought originally. And then how much time do you waste fighting, your natural instinct to go a different direction? So that's why I like being a pantser. I think that's the best part about it, is kind of discovering the story as you're writing it and being surprised.
Oh
Of
yeah.
course, sometimes it does take longer because you have to backtrack and stuff, but
So besides coming to Texas AuthorCon and Book Festival, where can people find your books?
So my books are on Amazon primarily. They're on Kindle Unlimited. I
okay.
do have paperback option on there as well. A couple of mine are in Barnes and Noble and Books a Million. I just got Ingram Sparks set up. That was the last thing I did for some reason,
Mhm.
and they're coming. It's just taking a little bit. Then I also have a Etsy shop and a website where you can buy everything directly from me. And it's real easy to find me because everything is Z Martin Books
Oh, sweet.
everywhere you go.
All right,
That's
cool.
nice.
Yeah, great. So we'll have links in the description of the video to, your Amazon author page, or if there's any specific things you want us to link for the people watching, maybe to your Etsy store or your website, just let us know. We'll have a link to the Eventbrite so that people can grab their tickets. It is a free event, but if you get a ticket, it helps us keep track of the attendees and stuff. And we will be seeing you in July. And Zach, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Um, and we'll see you out in Dallas.
All right. Can't wait to see y'all.
Take it easy.
You too.